Conversation. It's a lost art form. It keeps us connected, it builds community. I am proud to partner with Lunarium in Spokane, Washington to provide a space to come together and talk to each other. I hope you'll join us as we explore subjects like censorship, cultural anxiety, community, and the creative fight. Welcome to our Community Roundtable. Check out our website for opportunities to come be part of the live audience. Now let's go. Hello, welcome. You guys have been waiting for a month for the second, the sequel to what we've done on location at Lunarium in downtown Spokane. We are super excited to be here. They're a great place to partner with. Also a really great place for tea and snacks and coffee, which is what I have here. So we highly recommend you come down and see them on North Monroe. We're even more excited because it's part of our community conversations that we've been having. The last time we had special guest city prosecutor Sather Gowdy. And so now we're going to talk about something a little different, still on the same frame of what we do. And this is about how do you deal with an anxiety, a cultural anxiety, when everything around you is triggering. So we brought on a very special guest who we've known for a long time on our show. We used to do a show together as well.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce yourself and why you're here?
Okay. My name is Holly McGinnis. I am a licensed independent clinical social worker, and I am also a substance use disorder professional. And I'm here because we need to talk about this stuff. It is overwhelming. It can be very scary. It can be all of the things that we just don't even realize that we're struggling with. But we need to learn how to talk to each other.
And thank God you're on my speed dial because sometimes I don't know how to talk at all. But I like to start every one of these conversations with a quote. And I wanted to quote Albert Camus, who is a French philosopher and journalist. And he says, "Nobody realizes that some people expend tremendous energy merely to appear normal." And I feel that's exactly where we are now. And so as I do on my other videos, I always say, can we talk? Can we talk? How are you doing? And I will tell you this, I'm not good. I'm sure many of us aren't good. And I want to start with authenticity and say, it's okay to say, I'm not okay right now. Sometimes the day starts and you watch the news. Some days I can't watch the news.
Oh, yeah.
There's just a lot of triggering moments right now in our society. And a lot of us don't know how to cope in those.
Yeah.
I asked a lot of you for your comments on all of the socials, and you commented a lot. And I have to say, reading them is hard. It's very hard because so many of us, so many of you are, we go through the spiral, the anxiety spiral.
Absolutely.
So why don't we start with, even if it's not specifically, it's at a mass kind of climax right now. What do you do typically? You wake up in the morning and what would you do? You wake up in the morning, you turn on the news, even if you didn't want to, and you see something and it starts that anxiety at the beginning of your day way up here.
I don't turn on the news, but I turn on YouTube. But the cool thing about YouTube is you can pick what you want to watch. And I don't usually watch the news. I do death scroll Facebook. I will admit that. I do death scroll Instagram. But I
death scroll TikTok like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't do TikTok. But what is important is you can also control how much of what you see on your feed. You know, it's really important that, and I've done this with, and as a fellow member of the gay community, decided to be a show off today.
Love it.
You can choose what you want to see. I have friends who are in the community who live on the other side of the state, live in other states, and they've got stuff up there about, what's going on. And I will hit the X. It's like, not today.
Have you found that people need permission to not look? If you're an activist like I am, and you've been an activist for 30 years, it's hard to give myself permission not to look at the news every day. But I can't. Unless I truly hate myself, I can't do it every day. I need just enough to know what's going on. But some of us feel guilty if we're not constantly plugged in.
Yeah, I get that.
But this is not a time that you can be constantly plugged in. What do you say to people who have that guilt?
Oh, I say this. Day after the election, I got rid of my cable. I had pardon my language, a shit ton of channels.
Have you seen our show? Like,
Yeah, right. You
yeah.
and I,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Um, I couldn't do it anymore. I turned off notifications, and I didn't necessarily unsubscribe them, but the ones on YouTube that I would, no more. Here's what I told my patients. The only things you really need to know every morning is the weather and, if something's going on in the community. And I've
Right.
actually pretty much stopped watching Spokane news too lately.
All I care about in the morning is, am I alive? And then that.
Yes, pretty much it. It's pretty much it. And because I actually am a telehealth therapist, I work from home. So I'm going into game mode, and as soon as I hit my desk, I'm at work.
Yeah.
So, it's important to feel safe, to not know everything all the time. Because if you think about it, those of us who are old enough to remember, the internet didn't exist when I was your age. Oh, yeah, it did. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
The internet did not exist when I was in my teens, my 20s. It came into fruition, I would say, probably, I knew about it because I ran with a bunch of nerds it was kind of, anyway, I won't explain all that. Hi, Rose Geeks. It's, if they watch, they'll get this.
Yeah.
These were my guy friends from when I went to college first time. You don't have to be stuck in this mire of what's he doing now. You sent me a video a while back that Ezra Klein did. Don't believe them.
Because that's what you want. It's we talked about it in our last show, which is it's shock and awe, and that's a political strategy.
Yes.
If we keep you constantly
yes
shocked, then you won't
exactly
be calm. You will.
Exactly.
It's easier to control people through fear than it is anything else.
Absolutely. And I literally had a patient this week, and I've had patients, once I started at my job, it was right before the election. And I had a patient this week go, please tell me the world's not going to end. And they were dead serious.
Yeah.
And I said, the world is not going to end because we are not going to let it end. We can't. All of us who have sat on our butts, and I am Gen X.
Me too.
And we sat around.
Representing in a jean jacket.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
We sat around and, we were Wall Street. Greed is good. We big hair, Aquanet, guilty. Long ago, I had a lot more hair. We didn't care. People were making money. People were doing this. We didn't care about gay people. We didn't care about anybody. We were taught to care about ourselves. And here we are.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So that's what's fascinating. I will say I have a couple of comments to make. One, you can curate your news feed.
Yes,
I have people who, I try to keep 3 people that I listen to all the time. Erin Parnas, a lot of people, that. Under the Desk News, she's amazing. And now and then Rachel Maddow, although I try to stay away from the main thing. So you can curate, and that's okay. You can decide where you want to hear. Also, after this election, I made a statement saying, I'm a people pleaser. I'm a pastor's son. That's what you do when you're PK. And I said, because everybody's coming at me online, and I said, I'm giving myself permission not to have to answer any of you. I'm giving myself permission that it's okay that I surround myself with people who love and accept and also support the things that I support. And if you need to fight with me, I'm not the one. This is not the day. I am not the one. And this is safe for me. Yeah. So I don't care if you need me. I defriended so many people. And for me, that's very hard to do.
Yeah.
Because I want you to love me.
Yes.
In that. But I want to talk about, I want authenticity in my life. I want people. I think what's fascinating, so when I'm telling people we're going to do the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when we used to do our show.
Oh, yeah.
You are a therapist, and yet, why do they think you have to be a superhero? So things affect you just they affect all of us.
Absolutely.
It's just, you have skill sets that you have learned, right?
Yes.
So is that something you get from people? Like you were saying, your client, your patient wanted to say, please just tell me it's okay. I have friends, I will text and I will say, I just need you to tell me this.
Yeah.
I think that's really good to have in your
Yeah,
toolkit.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So as a therapist, do you put more pressure on yourself?
I have to, the way I do it when I work is different than the way I do it in my personal life, because in my personal life, I'm scared to death. I have a trans child. I'm gay. I came out in 23. I have people that I love, including you, who are in the community. I worked at a military base where I helped stand up gender affirming care and a group that's gone because of I mean, I'm passionate about this stuff, but I also have an ethical obligation to be in the community helping people understand that not only do they have control, you do have control of how your life goes and what your tangent goes. Because I'll tell you something, you come at me with, political stuff, okay, but if you come at me and tell me my kid doesn't exist because they're trans, I got the
Then there's
scars to prove it.
then
You
it's
have
me.
not met my kid. And
Yeah.
some of you know who are going to watch this know who my kid is, and they're like, yeah, that's a little Holly right there.
I think that one of the biggest casualties in everything recently is compassion with each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Before I get, so I'm going to read you some comments that we've gotten, and I want you to kind of talk to them as if they've told you this. But before I do that, I actually want to call out an audience member that will love me for this. I want to call out Amy. Yeah, I know. You're like, oh, not me. Yes, me. Owner of this, you and your husband own this beautiful establishment. Very diverse, very creative, very. And I'll tell them what you ask for sure. But I want to know, as a small business owner, is the anxiety level is even there for our current climate, right? What are some things that are challenges for you? So she was saying that it's a completely queer staff, and first of all, I have to tell you, not every business is concerned for the safety of anyone. But she mentioned, how do you keep a safe space for not only your employees, but also for the customers that come to this establishment, which I need you to know, talk about being authentic. Me and my friends talk all the time about there is not a coffee shop in town where you can feel completely,
absolutely,
a tea shop, any of it, where you can feel completely safe. A lot of them in this town have maybe a religious bent to them. But you come here and it's just, you come as you are. You know what I mean? You walk in the door and you just feel celebrated just by existing. So a lot of people don't look at that. I mean, you have to make money. That's a business, but that's all they see. And so I have to say, you're right. Safety, especially in this climate with everything, talk about anxiety, that would be the hardest. Have you found any answers with things that work for you as a business owner? And I think she was talking about being intentionally discreet. And I think we don't talk about how important that is. You know what I mean? I mean, it's bad enough I walk in the door, I'm loud and gay. And so I'm enough of a flag for that. But no, it's true. And it's not our choice to make decisions, and you don't have to be that. All you want to be, and you're right, in this community, if you know there's a safe space, we're telling each other, because there's not a lot of those safe spaces currently. My brother asks me all the time, why do you do this? Why do you go in public spaces? Like something could happen to you. Well, because I feel like it's
exactly.
You can't not live, is what Amy just said, and that's so true. Yeah, because you're just gonna hide in your house? You have to, and there's when we in this, I have a really wonderful quote that talks directly to that, and it's choices we make, to have these spaces. So I will say, I've always known it's safe here. People in the community tell each other, we know where the safety is. So we talk about it a lot in our friend group, because there is just not. Sorry, everybody else, love you to death, but there's not a space where I feel like, oh, I can just be who I am.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting me put you on the spot. I wanted to take a moment and I want to read some of the comments you guys sent to me to talk about how the world is affecting you and how these anxieties manifest themselves. And some of them will be self-explanatory. Some of them I definitely want you to comment on if there's anything that hits you. So we're going to start with the first one. The biggest concern in this climate currently is the safety of my family as the political climate worsens for those of us in the LGBTQIA community, and being the being only one check away from being homeless. So not only are you having this cultural, oh my God, I don't know if I'm safe as a queer person, but then our own economy. How do I pay the rent next month?
Yeah.
What do you say? Those are big life.
They are, and they can become very overwhelming. So, in a therapist modality, I would say, okay, so now we need to look at everything and what are the facts of every situation. It is real easy to get really caught up in our thoughts. Thoughts aren't facts. I think it's 70 degrees outside, and when I go to my car, it's going to be amazing.
That's called delusion.
Yeah, we're friends. You can tell. The fact is, it is raining, it is cold, and it is not fun. The thought is you are going to have all of these bad things happen. But what are the facts? I understand one paycheck away. I get that. Oh, I get it. I've been there, done that. And it is not easy. So, planning. You take control of what you can, because there's only 3 things you can control in your life, and they all have to do with you. Your behavior, how you react to other people's behavior, and the consequences you set for other people's behavior. That's all you can do. So when you have those things come up, you have to look at it in choosing your behavior, because we have the ability to react emotionally, which is can be hair on fire. I'm going to crawl into my hole and never come out. The world sucks and I'm never going to be a part of it. Or we say, wait a second, this is not what I want. This is not what I am going to do. And I am going to be who I am, where I want to. And I don't have to like what you like. But if you treat me with disrespect, like you were saying, I made it very clear similarly on my social media. If you voted for a certain Mango Mussolini,
truth,
and if you did, you voted for bad things to happen to my kid.
And to you.
And to me. Bad things to happen to people who don't deserve that. And here's the funny thing. A lot of us gay people have money to spend, and we will spend it where
Right.
non-gay people don't like us.
Exactly. And I do believe there's a vote when you decide, like, I won't support Coke because of what they chose to do with their DEI.
That's really hard for me, I'm not going to lie.
It can
Coke.
be hard for you, but for me, those are my choice. My choice is I will go everything but Coke, and I'll find a different way.
Absolutely.
But the other thing is, so tell me this. So as the king of overthinking everything in my life,
oh, no doubt.
When my brother used to say I would spiral out of control, and he would feel like it was a personal responsibility of him to talk me down. So I'm much better after like a decade of therapy. Still happens, but nothing like before.
And one of your closest friends being a therapist, like really seriously,
right? So what happens though? So we both know those are great advices. I'm really smart. That's great advice, right? But here's the thing: that's a skill set. It's like a muscle you have to get to.
Exactly.
What happens?
Exactly.
So throughout the day, I know these things that you have said.
Yep.
These 3 choices that I can make. Throughout the day, I'm going to have to come up against it. It's going to be in the beginning a lot. What's a touchstone? I call them touchstones.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you can remember, something you can tell yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me that.
Yeah. So when people would do that, when people would get real high anxiety, I would say, y'all remember the Staples button?
Easy button.
The easy button. But I would tell them to imagine the word stop on it. And imagine that you're like in a wind tunnel. And there's like this cyclone of words and thoughts going on. And over there is a big red stop button. You walk over there and you hit that red button. And you stop it. And it all falls to the floor. Then you have a choice when you do that. You have a choice to either take it all or go through and find what's real, what you were reacting to emotionally, and choose the behavior. Because one of the techniques that I use, and this is actually a therapeutic modality, it's called dialectical behavioral therapy. And it's one that I've trained in and taught to a lot of different people. The idea of what's called a wise mind, and if any of you have done DBT, that's why I was like, yeah, I know what that is. It's the idea that we have an emotional mind and we have a rational mind. And it's really important to remember all these feelings that we have happen. You don't have control of your emotions. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
The worst news ever.
It is. It is. Emotions happen. Believe me, they happen. But you can either run with that emotion or you can recognize you are feeling that emotion, your stop button, and make a choice on how you're going to behave about it. It may be, I can't talk to this person right now. I cannot deal with this person right now. I need a break.
Right.
Or it may be, I got to settle down. I got to do something like watch a comedy, do something, text my friend, right. Do something. Find a funny meme to send to somebody.
And I think that's where it's at. You have to find little bite-sized pieces until you're good at the overall marathon. Because I should be so skinny from how much I run away from my emotions. But, but it's, exactly. And I'm really good at it. Dude. I trained for the marathon and I'm doing great. Thank you. But the thing is, you have to do, for me, because someone had to teach me that I see the big picture too much, so that freaks me out.
Yes.
And so I have to find bite-sized pieces. A lot of times I have learned in my life that I have to take myself outside of a moment, whether I can go to my car, whether I can just go to a room at work that's not there. And I have to all I need is 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, I think of nothing and I just breathe. That's it. Just breathe to calm, because I can't even approach a logical set of how can I do this until I calm that anxiety.
Yes.
Some days I'll wake up and the anxiety feels so high that I'm like, why do I feel like crying? I just got out of bed. It's the anxiety. It's not that I want to cry. It's that I just feel really anxious. Now so every morning I start with 10 minutes of breathing. Mm-hmm. Just start it. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably going to need 8 more times of doing that. But it's finding these bite-sized things. You mentioned comedy. Comedy is very important to me. Comedy is another thing I do. Or if there is someone that I can send a text to and I know they're going to send something back and it's something I can do quickly, or it's that moment we talked earlier where I'm like, I need you to tell me that I am not an idiot. I need you to tell me that the world is not ending and it's all my fault. I need you just to say the words, and then it's a touch point. So back in my grandfather's days, it was a stone. You would keep a worry stone in your pocket. Yep. It was something that you could touch and feel and remind you to come back. It's a different form in my mind of meditation. Okay, I want to get to, this one breaks my heart. Okay, so we had someone come in and she said her biggest fear is that my generation has failed its children. I get super mama bear and want to save my kids, even though they're adults. I just feel we failed them. And it makes me want to cry when I hear that, because you just took on the responsibility of the world. And that's a lot to do to you. Yeah. So how do you break that down for a mom who gets up and goes, I feel like it's all crashing?
I am the mom. I didn't write that, but one of my kiddos is here and has heard me say that. My generation has failed you. And he's here like, yeah, no shit, Mom. And
there's some responsibility to the generation to let it go, but it's not one person.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not. It's not. And we have to remember, we can't save the world. It's one of the first things that you learn when you get into a profession like mine, or you're an advocate. If you're going to do this and not lose your mind, and you want the people you work with to understand, you can't change the whole world. What you can do is change your corner of that world.
Yes.
Your space.
Yep.
We're sitting here at Lunarium, which I absolutely love. When you brought me here the first time, it was like...
It was New Year's Eve.
No, that was me. I brought you here for that.
There was a big tasting, and we came. Yeah,
it was the one you guys did, the cute Corsetry together.
Yeah,
I was like, this is amazing. And we have to understand that our corner of the world is all that we can affect. So I constantly remind patients and I constantly remind friends, all you can do is your bit. But here's the thing. if you take care of your corner and you take care of your corner and you take care of your
Yes.
corner and you take care of your corner, those spaces get bigger.
Yeah.
You can't fix it all. Fix what you can here. You see somebody being treated like crap, don't be afraid. You know?
Yeah. Compassion is contagious. That's what I think. If you show others compassion and you actually authentically care about someone, it bleeds out.
Yeah.
You know, it goes out and people begin, and you're right. So that's why I have no apologies for creating a world surrounded by people who give a shit about other people,
Yeah.
because that grows. And then it makes you stronger for those moments you wake up and you're like, I can't today. I'll be authentic with all of you. I gave up the last month, just gave up. And you texted me and you were like, hey,
What you
how's
did?
it going? Because I stopped interacting. Everybody knows
Yeah.
who knows me
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
that I like to interact. I like to do these things where I feel like I might make a difference.
I
Right?
wasn't hearing, if you've been watching his Instagram, I wasn't hearing about the next ex-husband, and I'm like,
Which everybody should watch my videos about my future ex-husbands. There's like 5 now. It's fun. But that's the other thing. People are like, where do you balance the world between I love to laugh, I want to make other people laugh, because the minute we forget that there's humor in all of life, then we forget how to survive, right? So I do silly videos and I do this, but I also do this stuff where
Yes.
I want to talk about the real, because we need to stick together. If there's anything that I would say that all of my talks are about, it's about how do we come together as a community to help each other. You were mentioning earlier, and I have to say this beautiful thing about celebrating our individuality, and maybe we took it just a bit further than we were supposed to. I have a really good friend. He is first generation from Russia, and he is a beautiful gay man. Love him to death. But I remember he would say to me all the time, because his family would yell at him, that you're too independent. And I remember getting so mad at him. Like, this is America. I want to be independent, all these. And can I tell you that I woke up one day in all of this and I was like, I need to talk to you, because I get it. And it makes sense that we forgot how to care for each other. It's okay to celebrate your individuality and your creativeness and not forget that maybe we need to be a little more communal in the way we do things. So I want to do another one here, and then I'm going to call out Amy again. And so that's super fun. She's like, I sat too close to you guys. So let me see. Yeah, anybody.
If
If anybody
wanna-
want to jump
don't
in,
hesitate.
you know you're just
Do
dying
not
to.
hesitate.
I'm telling you, people, everybody who works there is so much fun and so sweet and so nice. So you should probably come down and say hi,
Yeah,
just so you
absolutely.
know.
Amazing teas too.
Yes, and French press, which makes me fly off the wall, and I love
He's-
it. So let me do. Oh, I worry that people are never going to stop looking for reasons to fight and hate each other. There's so much division right now. I worry that will never change, which, let's be honest, that's been since the beginning of time.
That's right.
But we do forget about the kindness. What do you say to people? Because people do love to tear each other apart.
Yeah.
People send me like horrible emails, and I can't look at those and let that be but people just, haters gonna hate,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, thank you so much. So what do you say to people like that? Because all they can see is that negative coming at them.
Yeah. You know what? Don't engage it. And I did that. I will agree, and I can say this. I have 2 of my former teachers on my Facebook, and one of them has a child who lives in Seattle now. And they are I learned so much from this teacher, Mr. Z. I hope you watch this. But people
We'll send it to her.
people were trashing him because he taught us all. Now, understand, I was a freshman in 1984. And
I can see
he
your
was-
hair right now in my head.
Yeah, he was a lot younger than 2. But he taught me about the environment. I still hold this in my heart. I don't know if he'll remember this, but we learned about evolution. We learned about genetics. We had a 1-paragraph exam about what evolution was, and I was the only person in the whole freshman class who got 100% on it.
And the very next year they banned you talking about it.
Probably.
At school. Yeah.
He was torn apart, and I would engage there. I would engage because I would see people from my hometown who were trashing him, and I would just become. So this is what I started doing. If you believe MAGA, that is your absolute right. If you think I'm awful because I'm gay, totally cool. But I'm not dealing with you anymore. Don't be surprised. We are not having this conversation. I wish you no ill will. You know, FAFO is a thing, and you will get yours. I believe in karma 100%. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to be 56 this year.
Woo.
And I ain't got time to waste that kind of energy. If you want to try to provoke me, take your best shot.
Yeah.
I got a good, my kids here going, that could be dangerous.
Yeah. It's boundaries. It's okay to have boundaries and
Yes.
say, my
Yes.
boundaries don't include you.
Yeah,
Thank you
exactly.
so much for your
wi-
time.
I don't wish you any ill will. I wish you no harm.
I haven't gotten that far yet, though. But sometimes
it's
I
just not
wish a
worth
little
it.
ill will.
Because here's the thing. When we carry bitterness and anger and frustration and all of that, it doesn't hurt the person you're angry at. It hurts you. And I like to refer to it as therapeutic forgiveness, because forgiveness has been so much with religiosity.
Right.
And you have to forgive the person who hurt you. Well, no, you can tell them to go F themselves.
Yeah.
But when we carry that, if it's Uncle Vern down 200 miles away, who isn't talking to you anyway, who thinks you're demon spawn anyway, why bother? Why bother?
If it's an exercise in futility, it becomes an exercise in frustration. Yeah. But I will say, I love the idea of, I love the idea back when Matthew Shepard was horribly murdered and Melissa Etheridge came out with this amazing song about
Yes.
it. And there's that moment. It's a cliche, but it's beautiful in the song, which is, I can forgive, but I will not.
That's where I was
forget.
going.
I needed a place to put my anger. And my anger was in, I will not forget. I'll forgive you, but don't fucking think I'm going to forget what you did, because it doesn't mean I have to trust you again. It doesn't mean, you just have to have that fire in you, because it was hard for me to go, forgive, what the, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have nothing for you to forgive. I'm so angry, but I could put it in, I'm never going to forget, because that's what's going to fuel me until I'm 85 to fight whatever I got to fight.
No.
We're going to do it. So it's a place to put that where you can allow yourself the forgiveness by giving yourself, I'm going to remember
permission
this.
to do that.
Yes, exactly.
Permission to do that.
Exactly.
Because it's exhausting.
Oh,
It will, if you've already got mental health problems, it'll aggravate the crap out of them.
Can we just be real too? I don't see one person who doesn't have, because we all have mental health issues. I don't care, small, large, everybody does. Can we stop pretending like it's this thing that, oh, you know them, they have some mental health issues. We all do. Like, how do you even live in the world if it's not there? So I think we start with, hey, sometimes it sucks and it's not easy, and that's okay, because we work together to figure out how we cope. Everything's about the coping skill set, the box, the toolbox that you have. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, Miss Amy. I want to put you on the spot and say, I will say this is a stretch. Stay with me though. Being a business owner is very similar to me growing up with a Southern Baptist minister as a father, because both, you have an image, right? And so you're aware of that image at all time. You're here making sure things are safe. You're here trying to uplift diversity. That's a lot. And so you keep that, but what is it, if you're comfortable, to share? You know how when we go home at the end of the day, there's those little things and you're like, crap, I'm a human being. That totally sucks. What is it when you look around, not having to be any of the titles, that worries you, that makes you feel anxious?
Oh, no.
I mean, if you're good and you don't feel anxious, I need to meet with you after the show and you tell me how that works.
Anxious? But do you mean specifically about my business or about me?
No, like you as a human being, the actual person here, because you have to be so many hats when you're a business owner. You have to be so many hats. What is it that when you look at the world that you're like, that makes me worry a little bit, and that I have to deal with that anxiety? Amy was saying that she grew up overseas. It's also a whole different mindset because you've come from a broader look at it. And so she worries more about globally. Like I thought you said a minute ago, global war. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, and do you think about going? Again, not even to visit. And is that a concern when you think about that?
Yeah.
She was talking about how her parents grew up as immigrants in France. It's like the mirror world. You're going, bizarre world, here we are. So she grew up with that opposite situation of having to see it from the other side. What happens now? I mean, we've been dealing with this where you can go to certain countries and you don't say you're American. It's the joke, I say I'm Canadian. And now I don't even think we can say that. And I love that Canada came out and there was a speech where it's like, we love you, Americans, but we can't. Yeah, this is not the time, and we can't help you. Every right to do this. So and that's a legitimate concern. Do you know that I can go online and I'm thinking about, I want to go here, and you have to check to see if that country likes you, and through no fault of our own. But the fact is, it's a true thing. Like it can be, and I don't blame any of those countries. But at the same time, I always want to be like, but I'm not one of the people who supported that. So
Yeah.
please,
We're
yeah.
tainted by association.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, and I think it's a legit.
Oh, absolutely.
What we talked about when we first started talking about this, it was that culture of anxiety.
Mhm.
That is what that is. Like we are in a toxic culture, and the anxiety that's real, that it follows us like baggage wherever we go.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do you deal with that?
Well, you have to remember some things. And this is kind of how I do it for myself. I am extremely grateful to live in the state of Washington. Is it expensive to live in Washington? Yes, it is. What do we have in Washington that you probably don't if you're watching this in a red state? Well, let's see. We have laws that protect you based on race,
Yeah.
color, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation. Pick one.
Yeah.
We have set up a fund that will take care of us in our old age that comes
Mhm.
out of our paychecks
Yeah.
every month.
We also, if you want PrEP, if you're a gay man and you want PrEP, which protects you from getting
HIV.
HIV, Washington makes it to where it doesn't cost you anything. They'll
Or
give
if
it
you
to
need HIV
every month.
medication.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
a lot of states do not have that.
No.
But you mentioned it, like some friends of mine are moving, and I'm like, to a red state. And
Yep.
I'm like, right now, I don't feel safe enough. I'm going to stick to blue. So right now, I'm actually going to stick to, Washington, Oregon, California, because I know they've already fought to keep me okay.
Yes.
Now, does it mean that's guaranteed? No. Can that go the wrong way over time? Yes. But so far, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good to
Yeah.
do those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
And so a lot of times with patients, I will say, remember where you are. Remember that we need to do it here. We need to protect our protections that we have here.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean we get to sit around and do nothing.
Someone told me, so when the first time this person was president, they said, so I was fighting, I was marching in streets before I was fired for being gay back in the day when they could do that, and I had no recourse. My doctor refused to be my doctor, so I sued his ass because, and he had such nerve to call me. I said, could you please? I'm like, my insurance wants to know why you're letting me. What an idiot. And he called me, and he went to voicemail. I still have it. And he said, oh, well, I can't be your doctor because you're gay and I don't believe my religious beliefs will let you happen. And I'm like, I'm going to call Lambda Legal out of LA and we're just going to take care of this right now. And we did. And it was a long fought battle. So I come from before we had anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's important to know where we came from. But here we are today. And so a friend of mine called me when the first administration had come through, and he said, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this again. I said, the battle isn't over when you're tired, because I'd rather sit on my couch because I feel like we fought this and we got it. And now I just want to sail off into the future. But the battle isn't over when we're tired. The battle is over when we're done.
Yeah.
And sadly, we're not done. So do I have to get back off the freaking couch and do shows like this and get out there and be loud and piss off people and have my mom not talk to me? Yeah, I do. But I'm going to continue to do it because I feel like not everybody is called to be loud. So if I'm able to be loud, Until everybody else can be loud right next to me, I have no option to not be. There's too many people too afraid and going through too much for me to have any right to say, no, I'm going to sit it out. I'm just
Yeah.
going to sit it out this time. We don't have that. We don't have that option or that luxury. But you know what we do have? It doesn't mean everybody has to be up here and be loud like we are.
No.
But it does mean if that's not you, awesome. But there's something in you. Those people need your support. That's all. If all it is you get to show up or you get to send a letter, or maybe you're artistic. There's another show that I'm going to be doing in the future called the Creative Fight. I like to use my creativity to make statements because that's where my creativity battles are. I feel more, I don't know, fulfilled. But there's always a way. I don't think there's an excuse at all for us not to do something, but you don't have to do this. It doesn't mean your option is you go up there and you get in the streets and that doesn't mean that's you. You can be anything, but just do something. And that, I'm sorry, I went off because
That's all right.
listen, this
It's
is
all right.
where my passion is.
I know.
What would you say in closing? Like, what's a main thing you want to say to people?
Well, I wanted to follow up on what you
Yeah.
just said. There's a fun little trick you can do, particularly with your kids or anybody else. So you get somebody to sit down and put their hands on their thighs. Okay? Tell them not to move their hands. Put your finger in the middle of their forehead and don't let them move their hands. And tell them to stand up. They will not be able to. Then do it again. Tell them to stand up how they would normally would. And what happens is you realize that you have to lean in and stand up. You always do. That's how we stand up. Everybody can lean in and stand up for what's
That's beautiful, actually. Lean in and stand up. Fuck yes. That's all I'm going to say to that. And that's brilliant. I want to start, this is a cliche quote, but it's the most important thing, something that Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I think it means so much now, especially in this moment, as much as it did, so many years ago when he said it. And he said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And I think that's what we're saying today. That's what these community conversations are. That's why I want us to talk to each other, because we don't anymore. And I think people can send me letters and say that, let's be honest, I'm a lot like my father in that pulpit. It's just a different ministry, I guess. So Dad wishes that I wouldn't ever say that, but it's true. I take after him because I refuse to give up. And I don't want you guys to give up either. It's a very, very scary time, but it doesn't mean it has to steal our reason for existing. And so if we can be helpful to that at all, that's why we are here. Go ahead.
And I want you to remember, like Johnny said, you don't have to do this. How can you do it? Well, the first thing I did, I got a Costco card. Hadn't had a Costco card in years. You know why I got a Costco card? Well, first to stock up for the apocalypse, just in case, or
Right,
another
I mean,
pandemic. No, I'm
yes.
kidding. But Costco has not only kept their DEI, but they said, F you,
Yeah.
you want to do something with us? We're still
Yes.
keeping it.
Yes. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Supporting those. You can find those lists
Microsoft.
anywhere. Yeah.
Apple is kind of getting rid of their DEI, but not Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And what do those two things have in common? Their home base is Washington State.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, find those businesses. Find the people who have the courage, the businesses that have the courage, like Lunarium, like any other business. Don't be afraid to be who you are. And if you are a family member of somebody in the community, you're part of the community. Welcome.
Yeah.
You've always said, I stole that
Yes.
from you.
Yay. I like most people most of the time. And then there's
I'm
10%
sorry, I ran over
or no.
your quote.
No, and I love that. And that's exactly what it's about. And I do want to say, we want to thank Lunarium. I've been telling people that we've partnered because it sounds so fancy.
It does.
We've partnered with Lunarium because they've allowed us a space
Yes.
to speak. I mean, look, we took over a stage in their establishment They are nothing but supportive. And so she's talking about places. If you have $1 in your pocket, your dollar is your vote, and you want to spend it somewhere. Pick the places that you can support that. And I'll tell you, this is a business. We want small businesses to continue to grow and thrive. And so I would just suggest, come check it out. But do that. Know where you put your money. I think that's the most important thing. But also remember what I said. There are different ways to fight. And I'm telling you, no more of this, oh, but I want to be so, I don't want to offend anybody. Fuck that. This is not the time. So that's what you get when you see me. I've been doing this for years, and I will continue to do it without apology. So thank you, Lunarium. Thank you for participating. And until next time, come see us for the show all about the creative fight. It's going to be a lot of fun. So bye.